So happy to see quite some people interested in our presentation. So our presentation is not about AI. We are not yet there. So our presentation is about our move from OTM on-premise into OTM cloud. So my name is Markus Hussmann. I had the pleasure to lead that project with a fantastic team of KSAP and Henkel. I'm 25 years with the company of Henkel, a bit more than 25 years. And I'm working in the IT department, leading the team for transportation and distribution. So with me on stage, we have Anurag, who has led the KSAP team from an IT perspective, and Vijaya, OTM application manager at Henkel, leading it from an Henkel perspective. On top of that, I had 3 more co-leads for the project. So first of all, from our global business solutions. So this is a place where we organize centrally the transportation planning. So EMEA was leading from that perspective, also here in the room. So happy to have you with me, always. And we had 2 more colleagues leading from a business unit perspective. Yeah? So all relevant units were present. And when it comes to business units, you see here already how Henkel is organized and how we operate. So we have 2 business units, one for consumer brands, one for adhesives technologies. So in consumer brands, we produce and sell products from laundry, from home care, from hair care and other beauty care categories. Some of them you see here. So these are often regional brands. So global brands is a difficult story in that area. But the other business unit, Adhesives Technologies, probably not that well known because not that much consumer facing, but very strong in their market position. And both BUs are equally large. So it makes pretty much 50% of Henkel's business. Good. So there were a few fun facts here. I don't read them all to respect the time, but probably everybody of you has some Henkel products with you. It might be in your mobile phone, it might be in your car. When it comes from the Adhesives Technologies, it might be in your luggage where you have your haircare products, and if it's from a competitor, the packaging might be even glued with some glue from Henkel. Good. Some facts about Henkel. If it's not that familiar for you, a bit more than 20 billion euro of sales. So just this year announced the annual report, 3 billion euro of profit and a bit more than 47,000 employees. So beyond those figures, we also see some focus areas for us. So since decades, we have a strong focus on sustainability and also a clear focus on DEI activities. What we are very proud of at Henkel is our history, and this year in September we will celebrate 150 years of Henkel. So pretty much looking forward to that celebration. But it's not only about Henkel. This you can all read up in the internet, in Wikipedia, on our web pages. This is what you cannot read up there. So OTM at Henkel. So we use OTM since 2014. We started for sure on premise, and we had since then continuously rollouts. At the very beginning, large rollouts to reach a large coverage. But once we had pretty much all regions on it, we're still facing some white spots, and we continue to implement. A few facts about our system. We have one global instance. Both BUs are on that instance, and it's covering all the regions. So this means one system, 24/7, it's operating. So that's for sure very important for us, big challenge to always keep this up and running. Then very few facts here, 1.5 million shipments per year, order releases 3 million. And then last year we organized the project in what we call the fast track. You will see why in a very short time frame. With also here one big bang, one go live for the complete system. So our cloud move project. So first of all, the motivation. Why did we want to go into cloud? So for sure, it's about the product innovations. Yeah? In on-premise, it wasn't much happening. Everything took place in the cloud, and we wanted to participate. And then on top of that, the end of life cycle was also announced, so this gave an additional push. So we made our plans in order to move into cloud, and then things come different, and it got clear that we will not extend our data center contract, and we had to take a decision. What do we do? So it was conflicting with the timeline of the originally planned project, so we could either go first into the new data center and then move into the cloud, or we need to anticipate the project and accelerate the project, and we checked if this is possible. And as we didn't want to go for a non-value project by just moving from one data center to the other, we decided for the fast track approach. So our priorities didn't change, so it's always about stability, and also here, even under time pressure, stability was a clear factor. We limited everything, every change to the bare minimum, which is really required, and only in a second step we wanted to implement the product innovations. And here, one we had identified already before the project. This was logistics network modeling, because we believe that there is a lot potential in that tool. So, how did we organize the project, and what did we see as the key pillars for the project success? At the end, it's all about mitigating risk for us and ensuring quality. So cloud compatibility was a big topic even earlier for us. So since years, we had no decisions to go for any development which is not cloud compatible, because we knew it will come at a certain point in time, and therefore even though sometimes it could have been the easier approach, we always looked for the solutions which are cloud compatible. Then an area, data migration, which made us in the beginning quite a headache, but then we have seen with KSAP a very convincing approach how to migrate data from on-prem to cloud with a convincing tool and with a competent team behind. And that's why we asked KSAP if they want to do the journey together with us. System integration, so you have seen before around about 140 interfaces. A lot are with carriers, but also a large number of very complex interfaces. So we will see more of that. And then for sure, it's all about testing. At the end there, we ensure that we also develop quality in the project. And then with that, let's deep dive into those 4 pillars, and I would hand over to you, Anurag.
Thank you, Markus. So essentially, when we look at the cloud migration projects, right, there are some of the key things which we have to do. We have to, as Markus said, right, cloud compatibility, data migration, the integration specifically, which we have to take care of because it's changing the environments from on-prem, how we used to manage there, versus how we go to the cloud environment, and then finally the testing of it. So when we look at the cloud compatibility at Henkel, the one thing which was good is because Henkel was using OTM since 2014, and they had this standardized template in terms of how they did the implementation. The number of customizations were really low, and they were less than 10. That allowed some of those customizations to be taken care by before even the project, and then some of them we actually took care of them as part of the project when we moved to the cloud. So one of them is the style sheets. Most of the customers do have notification style sheets, and it's a multi-region implementation, so which means your style sheets are different. What is being used in Europe versus what is being used in the Latin America are different style sheets for notifications. So we had those style sheets. They have to be moved to cloud. We have to take care of them on the cloud itself. So that's one of the customization which we did there. Second is the transmission style sheet itself. So for interfaces to allow them to work, there are certain style sheets are there for translations, and we also took care of them as part of the cloud migration project. The second piece, which is very, very important and kind of troubles many customers even today, is the XML schema validation. Strict XML schema validation is where in the past you could put your XMLs without any strict schema validations and it will still work. But with cloud, that's something which is causes trouble, and we have to basically make sure that we use a strict schema validation. So that's something which Vijay will cover in detail when we come to a system integration. And the last one is the reports. In on-prem, you could write your lexical parameters. You could make your operators begins with contains more easily. That's something which is not allowed in cloud, and that means they have to be taken care of. And that's something which Henkel did very well even before starting a project, and that's why we could make it a fast track. We took care of something before even the project really started. That said, we will move on to the data migration. Now, with data migration, there are certain things which you have to take care of, right? So your configuration data, master data, transactional data. But very important part is how to move the volume of data which we had here. And we have seen those numbers before. It's a 1.5 million shipments and 3 million orders a year. And we have to move all of that data, not 10 years, but at least 2 years of data to cloud, which is what is really allowed to be there. And what we have is, in KSAP, we have OTM now, Migrate Now product, which primarily is an automation tool which fetches your data from your on-prem and puts into a cloud automatically with the capabilities which are, it allows the data transformation. It can fetch domain by domain. It can change your domains if you wanted to. Let's say when you wanted to scrap a domain and merge data together, it can do that. It determines the data based on whether it is relevant. It is by domain. You can use your own criteria by SQLs or date ranges to do it. So it has all those capabilities to take care of it and moves it. And then finally, it can do migration not just from on-prem to cloud. It could do from on-prem to on-prem, cloud to cloud. It can also do your XML's migration, your REST API, using REST API. It can also do that fetching of the data and move it to the cloud. So it has multiple capabilities to just go after, and that's what we used here to do all of this migration. So when we look at the configuration data, so we'll talk about the challenges for each set of data which we had, configuration, master, and transactional. When we look at the configuration data, with the project running this long, application running this long, we always have consistent changes going in based on business demands and requests and parallel projects and deployments. So that really changes your configuration every few weeks, every few months based on the release cycle you have. And we had to make sure that these changes which are going into the on-prem are also present in cloud at the time of go live. So what we did essentially, we started doing a regular sync, like a monthly sync for these configurations, so that they're part of the cloud project also. But we also did a code freeze at the end of the project to say for 1 month we cannot move any code changes anymore. We have to go through a UAT cycle. We have to go through a testing of these configurations, and we can't really have changes coming in which can disrupt our actual go live. So that's something which we did for the configurations. For the master, it is similar, but it is more frequent. So you see master data, your locations and your items, they keep on changing, they keep on getting added. There are certain rules which are defined on those objects which keeps on changing according to business demands. And we also had to do some non-relevant data, like some data which was like 6 years ago, never used again. We don't want to move that garbage to the cloud, so we have to exclude that also. So the cycle is same. We did the regular synchronization of the on-prem to cloud, but we did more frequent. So if you see the differences in the configuration, we said we'll not move anything, but in master we said we'll do more frequent synchronization so that we remain current to the master data. And finally, when we look at the transaction data challenges, right? So it's really, you have to make sure that your business starts as usual after the cutover. If there are shipments missing, if data missing, if there is some problem there, then you can't run that business anymore. So that's very, very critical to do. And second part of that is the accuracy of data is also equally important. Your metrics, your invoices, your vouchers, your values, those are very, very important to be there present correctly. So to do so, because we are using the tool, not doing it manually, no manual intervention in the data, we could just move it without really modifying anything into it. But we also did the filtration of that data to say, look, it's a 2 years of data, let's filter it out. We don't want to move everything, we only want to move what is relevant and required for that business to operate. And then we also did that move in batches. So it's not that everything we did in one last cutover. We started migrating data early in the project, 3 months earlier, and then we started moving that yearly data into the environment, so that by the time we reached the last stage, we actually only had to move 1 week of data to the cloud environment. And finally, we also have to take care of the changes. It's a transactional data. It is changing very rapidly. So we had to do one parallel move just to make sure the updates are moved to the cloud. And at the last stage of it, like on the cutover day, it's purely the validations which we had to execute. So we ran through our validations to say, look, data looks fine. It is matching to what we had in the on-prem. And we can actually move forward in terms of the go live cutover. That said, I think I'll move on to the system integration. Vijaya.
Hello. So moving to system integration, most of the challenges were technical in nature actually, because we had 3 middlewares. So we were primarily using IBM integration bus, and then SAP Cloud Process Integrator, and then the Seaburger for external messages. So the primary issue was with the IIB, because they were also moving the data center. They were moving from on-premise into the hyperscalers. So instead of dealing with 2 middleware servers like test and prod, we had to deal with 4, one in on-prem, one in hyperscalers. The primary issue here is about the connections, and then the rollback scenarios, and then the migration of interfaces across the platforms actually. And this was a primary challenge, but apart from that, we also had a challenge with CPI, because they don't understand the modular or substitutional group XSTs, because OTM from 653, they don't provide a single XST. So it is object-wise XSTs. So we had to rework and then provide all the customization. Tomorrow also we need to ensure that that is maintainable, because future releases, there are also changes that can happen to XST. So we are aware about the challenges, and then any mistake we do here is going to impact the business continuity. So we had a backup plan interface-wise. Also, we ensured if the changes are not going as per our plan, we also plan to go without schema validation. and aligned with Oracle that is it possible to skip the release or change the cohort. So this was aligned with them. Now moving into the primary challenges, if we see, as I said, XSD limitations. So we had to create an interface-wise XSD and provide to the middleware teams for each interfaces. And then also when the XSD changes happens, it introduces the strict sequencing. And if there is a strict sequencing, there is a code change that needs to be performed in the middleware. So as you know, any code change to the middleware logic, it would cause a huge impact on the messages, because when we change, a lot of messages were failing in the middleware, or some transmissions were failing in OTM. So what we ensured first is there should be 0 failures in the middleware, and next is there should be no failures in OTM transmissions actually. Once this was ensured, then what we did is we had a concept of dual routing. So we had a SAP system sending an IDOC to the production without a schema validation, and then the same IDOC is also routed to our test system with schema validation. So we compared all the messages. We ensure the structure is same, the data is same, everything is fine. Then the IT testing is completed. We also had a testing for functional verification. This means like 2 things. One is the end-to-end process needs to work, because most of the schema validations are related to inbound interfaces, but the outbound depends on the inbound interfaces actually. So the end-to-end test cases were executed to ensure that whatever we receive in OTM and then it is also sent to SAP and getting processed. This was ensured for all the scenarios. And second thing is we also did a bulk validation. So as I said, like we routed all the messages into the test system. So the operational team, which runs the bulk plants in the production without schema validation, they were also running the parallelly in the test system. So this was done several weeks by EMEA's team. And once they gave a sign-off, because since they are from operations, they evaluated. And once they sign off, we went live. And all the interfaces went live in schema validation in 653 itself. So we completed this activity before even we went live with cloud. And apart from that, in cloud, these are all some integrations that we have implemented. So it's the cloud provides a lot of flexibility with respect to integrations actually. So most of them are already present in on-prem, but we were not able to exploit them. So one is with respect to migration projects with web services. Normally when you migrate the configurations across the system, you pull the CSVs or DBXML out and then share it via mail or put it in some storage, and your maintenance team does it upload manually. With web services, what we did is from dev, you can directly pull into the test. You need not extract anything. And then once the UAT is performed, you can also pull the same changes, the migration projects, into the production. You need not have any external tools. It is all done within OTM. This existed even in on-prem. But what is the advantage is, in on-prem, you need to whitelist, firewall opening, everything takes weeks in an organization. But in cloud, you need not even do the whitelisting actually. You can easily connect. And the second thing is you also have an option to move the production data. That means normally the production has the latest and greatest data, the master data in terms of location, materials, and orders. If there is a production issue, you need to replicate it in the lower instances. Earlier we had a complex PL/SQL procedure with custom actions moving it, but in cloud you can use a transmission web service. You can move the messages across the instance on the fly. So if it's a single message, you can use send integration. If it's a group of messages, you can use saved query based pull. And this we see at least the development teams are hugely benefiting actually. Earlier they need to pull the XMLs and then load it. And the other big thing is like we earlier with the data lake, we were pulling all the data from the database, ROD database. So, you know, the materialized views and then the logs, it always breaks up actually. And then the connection, we need to fix it, and there was a lot of downtimes actually. And then also in terms of performance also, it was not that great when we do a DB-based extraction. So now for entire data pull into the data lake, we are using Oracle's table-centric APIs. So to give you an idea, we are almost extracting 300 tables per day. And this is all done via table-centric APIs. There are some issues with respect to delete things, but in 26CA we are also getting this timestamps of deletes. So everything is managed with the table-centric APIs. And the last thing is, based on the schema validation, implementation, and integration, we find the traditional SOAP-based integrations are very rigid and then a bit heavy. And we wanted to move all our interfaces wherever it's straightforward into REST APIs. So we have already implemented few interfaces, and going forward, we'll move most of the interfaces into REST API-based integrations, actually. And also, REST APIs is used in mobile apps as well as in agent studios, so which would be the primary. So we wanted to move all our integrations into REST APIs. That's it. Thank you. Over to you, Mark.
So once everything is developed and pre-tested by IT, then it gets into the status of user acceptance testing. And that's the point in time when we also involve a larger share of the user community. And we have a great approach of testing in place, not only for this project, but in general. For previous on-prem release upgrades we developed, but also for projects which are going live. And this was very much developed from our global business solutions and also heavily executed from that team. So you have heard already some of the aspects from Vijaya. So all our end-to-end processes are tested across the system landscape, not only in ODM, but with all the interfaces included. And on top of that, we executed quite some performance testing in the system. And very important was the part that Vijaya explained, the planning results, where we moved the day-to-day data, not only from production to production, but also to our cloud environment. And there, the same planning was taking place and planning results were compared. And only with this, we are able to validate the system works as expected. And then on top, the system integration part, with all the many interfaces and all the difficulties, the challenges around it with the introduction of the schema validation. So there, a lot was invested. And after all those test exercises, I must say we had quite a perfect result at the end. So all the test cases were executed, all the identified bugs were fixed and retested, and we had was it even 100 or was it 99.98 or whatever percentage of test steps successfully executed. So we felt safe to go live. And with this, we may come to achievements and outlook. So just a simple chart. This was the initial plan of how we wanted to do the project. So it was a result of quite some alignments and discussions. What is the minimum time that we need for each and every step? So we discussed with the KSAP team, what is the minimum time you need to develop the solution in cloud? So we discussed Henkel internally, what do we need to do all for the interfaces, the many interfaces? What is the minimum time we can achieve this? We had long discussions with global business solutions. What's the time that we need to be sure that everything is tested? Yeah? And this was the agreement, and you see there are already overlaps in. And this was a plan reality looked a little different. There were even more overlaps in the final actuals. But one thing that we never changed was this go live date here. So we really made it in 32 weeks. Also here, I'd like to mention that we were able to start from one day to the other. It was really, we got the go for the project. And I asked Oracle before, what is the minimum time that you need in order to provide the system? Because if we get the go, it needs to start immediately. And we activated the subscription and we entered the system to deploy the system itself. And within a day, we had the system available and could also technically start. So also here, thanks to the Oracle team, which did a great job. And then hypercare started. So we went live 14th of July after 32 weeks as scheduled. And then after 2 weeks, we decided we are fine and we can decommission the on-prem environment. And we were probably the last application which left the old data center, and we made it on time for the end of July. So there, a large community at Henkel was happy that we made it. So what's next? Now we don't have every 4 years a release upgrade that we test, where we have a large project and we have a comprehensive testing. Now we need to do this every 3 times a year. Yeah? So we are working on test automation to gain more and more efficiencies. We gained already quite some results here, but we further want to stress this in order to have smooth and efficient activities for release upgrades. Then implementation of transportation. We have a process in place, transportation management optimization. This is today in a separate system with a lot of manual effort, with a lot of master data download, upload, and back and forth. And this we want to make much more efficient with LNM. And with this efficiency, we want to then also do much more scenario plannings than we do today. So that's that's being implemented right now. Takes a little longer than expected, but we are optimistic it will work. And then on top of that, we are investigating the many product innovations which are there, which were not available in the on-premise environment. And also we are investigating in the AI capabilities. So before we come to Q&A, we made it in time as with the project as well. But I'd like to thank you to patiently listen that we can make it in time. And I also like to thank everybody who is investing time and effort in organizing the conference, and also everybody who supports and sponsors it.